Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and much appreciated you guys coming by the channel to watch today's video. Got a really good one for y'all today that's going to help you guys catch some good fish on a buzzbait early this spring. We're going to give tips and advice on catching bass on a buzzbait way before anyone else starts throwing it. One of the things about buzzbait fishing, guys, if you have the right buzzbait and the right area and the right conditions, you can catch fish in cold water. When I'm talking about cold water, I'm talking about like in the low 50s on a buzzbait before anyone else starts catching them on it. And usually they're big ones when one bites it. So what I'm going to do today in today's video, I'm going to show you the buzzbait I like, and I'm going to describe the exact set of conditions that have to exist for this to work. So I think it's going to be some good info for you guys. Also, guys, one of the things I want to talk about here a little bit before we get started here about the different color jigs as far as different seasons. One of the ones I want to suggest you guys start throwing like right now is the brown and orange color. This is my Block It Throwback jig, living rubber, brown and orange. I'll put the Tackle Warehouse link in the description if you guys want to get you one. Get you a 1/2 ounce or a 3/8 ounce and put a Zoom big salty chunk on it. Guys, in February and March, this is my #1 color right here, brown and orange, live rubber with the green pumpkin big salty chunk on it. Just works really, really good, especially like late February and into March. So definitely pick up a few there at that link in the description. Okay, I'll tell you a little story. I like to give a backstory about how a lot of this stuff got figured out. I was fishing an old Redman tournament at Bull Shoals Lake. This was like when I first started fishing redmans back, I think it was 1984. And one of the anglers in that tournament that I know, I think his name was Randy Workman. He used to be a hammer here in the Ozarks. He caught a big bag of fish the first day of that tournament on a buzzbait at Bull Shoals in, I believe it was March, and the water temperature was like 50 degrees or just a little over 50 degrees. And I couldn't believe it when, I heard about it. A friend of mine that fished with him told me about it. And I got thinking about it. It's like, man, I would never throw a buzzbait in 50-degree water. And then I started experimenting with it, over the years, and started sort of, redefining and redeveloping my own technique with it. And through trial and error and through experimentation, I came up with, when you have the set of circumstances that I'm going to talk about here, these buzzbaits in cold water catch big fish. Now, first of all, let's talk a little bit about the bait, and then we'll get into what you have to have. You got to have a big black buzzbait, a big one with a big blade. This is the Megabass Jamaican boa, guys, which is an awesome big buzzbait. It's a large profile buzzbait. It's got a big black blade on it. I'll link this again also in my Tackle Warehouse description if you want to get one of these Megabass Jamaican boas. But this is what you have to have. You can't use like a little buzzbait or with a gold blade or silver blade. It's got to be a big black buzzbait, large profile. And one of the things that I usually do with it, I don't have it on here. Let me see if I can find my, let me show you how. Never prepared for these things. I got to dig them out. One of the things I do with it as an extra strike attractor is I'll take a Zoom trick worm like in a chartreuse, bite off like an inch of it or so, and put this chartreuse trailer on the back of the black skirt. This was actually a trick I learned from an angler named Jeff McGee from Mississippi, I believe. But a chartreuse trailer on the black Jamaican boa here makes a large bait, guys. It makes it float up a little bit more. Sometimes I'll use a pork frog on it, a chartreuse pork frog, but that's usually the setup that I fish with it right there. So that's the #1 thing, is you got to have the right buzzbait. And the reason why you have to have a big bladed buzzbait is it keeps it up higher where you can reel it slower. That's one of the things about it. Now, another thing about this super cold water buzzbait fishing is you got to have it on the right tackle and right equipment in order to reel it slow. It's all about reeling it just slow enough to keep it on the surface, and it's like blub, 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 going real slow across the surface. So in order to get the bait to go slow, you have to throw it on a long rod. So what I'll do is I take a flipping stick, my Megabass Alcalys flipping stick, I'll put it on 25-pound test, Seaguar and Vizex line. And when I throw that buzzbait out there, I keep my rod tip real high, keep it 11 or 12 o'clock position. And by keeping that rod tip high, most of the line is out of the water, and you can reel that buzzbait where it goes blub, 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 just real slow. If you try to fish it on a shorter rod and don't hold your rod tip high, you're going to reel it too fast and the fish won't bite it. So that is utmost important, guys. Big bladed black buzzbait, flip and stick, 25-pound test line, so you can reel the thing really slow. You want to keep it, the main thing about it is you want to keep it where it's just going fast enough to make noise. Once in a while, it may even drop underneath the water an inch or so, but just keep it super, super slow. Okay, the next thing, let's talk about the situations this works in. I have found that this is going to work as soon as that water temperature starts to hit about 50 degrees, but you have got to have the right set of conditions for this to work. It is highly situational. Now, the situation weather-wise that you have to have is when that water temperature is cold, you have to be out there on one of those above average normal temperature days. So say, for example, you're out there in March and the normal air temperature is 60 degrees or something for a high. It's best to be out there with, like, when that air temperature is close to 70, along with having a light south wind and overcast. That is the key right there when you're talking about low 50-degree water temperatures, overcast skies, light wind, and the water clarity also needs to be probably in that 1.5 to 3 foot range would be sort of perfect with that. So you got to have that right water clarity, right sky conditions, water temperature, all that stuff's got to be perfect. Normally this is going to be associated for some type of a weather pattern, you know, prior to a frontal system moving through. That is what puts those fish in this shallow water to bite the buzzbait. If you don't have those conditions, say for example, if you got just a sunny day, or, you know, maybe it's the temperature's normal, or maybe it's 5 degrees, you know, below normal, and you got like a 10-mile-an-hour wind, they're just not going to bite it. Those fish aren't going to be up there. But those conditions, those low light conditions where it's a little bit warmer, will put those fish up shallow, even if it's just on a temporary basis. Okay, so the next thing, you have to throw it in the right type of water. The number one type of area this works good in is if you have any type of shallow vegetation on flatter, shallow banks, like in the back part of the coves, like the back half to the back part of the coves or back in the creek arms. Now, I'm not talking about like the vegetation for like being in Florida. I'm talking about vegetation like you'd find on the some of the Coosa River lakes in Alabama, like the water willows, the gator grass, any type of shallow vegetation, lily pads. Lily pad stems can be good, like if you fish Ross Barnett or Lake Wheeler or some of the places that have dead lily pad stems. That shallow aquatic vegetation in those conditions is the number one type of structures to catch them early in the year on this buzzbait. Now, if you don't have that type of flooded vegetation in there, then you still have to stay on those shallow banks that catch a lot of heat. Now, these are going to be areas that are protected from the wind. They're a little bit flatter, and maybe they have some cover, maybe they don't. You may have some logs or you know, some stumps or lay down trees, or it can just be rocky banks. But you have to have those waters that are positioned on the lake where they heat up really quick. So let's say you and I are out there, it's the first or second week of March, and the water temperature maybe on the main lake is like cold, maybe it's in the 40s, but you go back, you get one of those days I'm talking about where there's not much wind, it's a little warmer, you got a lot of radiation coming down, and that shallow water with that little bit more stain to it is going to warm up really quick. That is what is going to pull those fish up there, and that's when you have to take advantage of that to be in those type of areas. So anyway, guys, and when you get a bite on this thing, they're going to average at least 3.5 pounds a piece. This is a big fish technique. I mean, you can catch 20, 25-pound bags on it under the right situations. So just sort of use that as a gauge, guys. I just toss it around a little bit, man. Pick up a couple of these Jamaican bows there at Tackle Warehouse. Try it when you get in the situations I described. Try it before most anglers are thinking about it. That's when it works the best. It's like people say it's been cold and then it starts warming up a little bit and people are not thinking top water. That's when you want to throw it just a little bit before everybody else starts throwing it, because people start throwing top waters traditionally when that water temperature hits about 60 degrees. So start when it hits 50 degrees with the big buzzer, see what happens there. So anyway, I hope it helps out, guys. We'll see you.